Today's number 2 most urgent vulnerability on the ranked list is CVE 2026-25089 in Fortinet FortiSandbox. Number 1 may already be on your radar, but this one deserves immediate attention because the signal stack is unusually strong. Critical CVSS, very high EPSS percentile, and confirmed placement on CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. This is the Daily Ranked CVE Brief, What to Patch First, ranked by real exploitation signal from CISA KEV, first EPSS, and CVSS, every day. The plain English version, certain FortiSandbox and FortiSandbox Cloud or PaaS versions may allow an unauthenticated attacker to send specially crafted HTTP requests that result in unauthorized operating system commands. That is not a cosmetic bug. For a security appliance that analyzes suspicious files and traffic, command execution can quickly become a serious foothold, visibility problem, and containment challenge. CVE 2026-25089 is described by NVD as improper neutralization of special elements used in an operating system command. In other words, OS command injection. The affected products listed in the description include FortiSandbox 5.0.0 to 5.0.5, FortiSandbox 4.4.0 through 4.4.8, FortiSandbox 4.2 all versions, FortiSandbox Cloud 5.0.4 through 5.0.5, and FortiSandbox PaaS 5.0.4 through 5.0.5. The CWE is CWE-78. In human terms, that means user-controlled input can make its way into a place where the system builds or executes operating system commands, without neutralizing the special characters or structure that change what the command does. The attacker does not need to be a legitimate user according to the CVSS vector, and the triggering path is through crafted HTTP requests. Verdict: this is a patch now, unauthenticated remote command execution risk. The CVSS score is 9.8 critical, and the two metrics that matter most are reachability and authentication. The vector says network attack vector, low attack complexity, no privileges required, and no user interaction. So defenders should read this as, if the vulnerable service is reachable, exploitation does not depend on tricking an internal user or compromising an account first. The impact side is also severe. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability are all marked high. That matters because operating system command execution is not limited to viewing a page or changing one setting. Depending on deployment and permissions, it can affect data exposure, system changes, service disruption, or further movement inside the environment. We do not need to recite every CVSS field to understand the priority: remote, unauthenticated, command execution. The reason CVE 2026-25089 ranks so high today is not the score alone. It is also in CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, which means defenders should treat it as a real-world exploited issue, not a lab-only finding. On top of that, the EPSS percentile is 0.98309, placing it above the vast majority of vulnerabilities for predicted exploitation likelihood. EPSS is not a guarantee that your specific system is under attack, and it is not a replacement for asset context. But combined with KEV status and a 9.8 critical score, it changes the operational posture. This should move from normal patch planning into emergency triage, especially for internet-facing management surfaces, appliances in sensitive network zones, or systems that process untrusted samples and artifacts. Conceptually, the path is straightforward. The vulnerable component accepts HTTP input, and some part of that input can influence operating system command execution in a way it should not. Because the vulnerability is described as reachable through specifically crafted HTTP requests, the defensive question is simple. Who can send HTTP traffic to the affected FortiSandbox interface or service in your environment? If the answer is the public internet, the risk is highest. If the answer is only a small administrative network, the risk is lower but not gone, because any compromised internal host with network reach could still matter. The CVSS vector says no privileges and no user interaction, so authentication controls cannot be assumed to block the vulnerable path. Your defensive goal is to shrink reachability immediately while patching, limit sources, enforce segmentation, and remove unnecessary exposure. Start with inventory. Identify every Fortinet FortiSandbox instance you operate, including physical or virtual appliances, FortiSandbox Cloud, and FortiSandbox PaaS where applicable. The NVD description lists affected ranges for FortiSandbox 5.0.0 through 5.0.5, 4.4.0 through 4.4.8, 4.2 all versions, FortiSandbox Cloud 5.0.4 through 5.0.5, and FortiSandbox PaaS 5.0.4 through 5.0.5. For exact applicability, upgrade guidance, and any product-specific notes, defer to Fortinet's advisory. Do not rely only on procurement records. Check what is actually deployed. Then map exposure. Which interfaces are reachable from the internet? From VPN pools, from user VLANs, from server segments, and from security tooling networks. If a vulnerable version exists and accepts HTTP traffic from broad networks, treat it as urgent, even before you confirm signs of compromise. The primary remediation is to follow Fortinet's official advisory and move affected systems to a fixed or otherwise recommended state. Because this is KEV listed and critical, do not wait for a normal maintenance window if the appliance is broadly reachable. While remediation is underway, reduce attack surface. Restrict access to FortiSandbox administrative or HTTP exposed interfaces to trusted management networks only. Use firewalls, access control lists, VPN restrictions, and segmentation to ensure only necessary systems can reach the service. Review whether the appliance has unnecessary outbound access or overly broad permissions in the environment. Preserve relevant logs before rebooting, rebuilding, or making major changes, because you may need them for later investigation. And after patching, verify the version and exposure state independently. A ticket that says patched is not the same as a confirmed protected asset. For detection, focus on the behavior implied by the weakness, without chasing a single magic string. Review FortiSandbox HTTP and administrative access logs for unusual request patterns, especially requests from unexpected source IPs, unauthenticated sources, rare user agents, abnormal request volume, or activity outside normal administrative windows. Compare against what normal looks like in your environment, who usually manages the appliance, from which networks, and at what times. On the system side, look for signs consistent with unauthorized command execution, unexpected child processes, configuration changes that do not match change records, service instability, unexplained restarts, new scheduled activity, or unusual outbound network connections. In network telemetry, watch for the appliance connecting to destinations it normally never contacts. If you find suspicious indicators, preserve logs, isolate carefully, and escalate to incident response, rather than only applying the patch and moving on. To recap, CVE 2026-25089 is today's number 2 ranked urgent CVE because it combines a 9.8 critical score, unauthenticated network reachability, OS command injection, a very high EPSS percentile, and CISA KEV status. The affected Fortinet FortiSandbox, FortiSandbox Cloud, and FortiSandbox PaaS ranges are listed in the vulnerability description, but your remediation source of truth should be Fortinet's advisory. Defensively, the order is simple: identify affected assets, reduce HTTP reachability, apply the vendor fix or guidance, verify the result, and monitor for signs that exploitation may already have occurred. If this brief helped you decide what to patch first, subscribe to the Daily Ranked CVE Brief. We rank the day's vulnerabilities by real exploitation signal, CISA KEV, first EPSS, and CVSS, and the full ranked report is linked in the description.